Jim, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, many of you have heard me speak somewhere along the line, but for those of you who haven't, let me introduce myself. I'm Jim Bender. I'm a 24-year resident of Hollis, New Hampshire, along with my wife, Sue. Let me tell you there are 3 reasons why I'm running for the U.S. Senate. The first reason is that our government has just grown too big. It spends too much, it wastes too much, taxes too much, borrows too much. It's just way too big. The government is not only taxing away your income, it's regulating away your liberty, and it's devaluing away your savings. Because the government is now almost 5 times as big as it was 30 years ago when Ronald Reagan became president, this is creating a tremendous drain on our economy, and it's got to be fixed. There's no reason why we need to have a government that's 5 times as big as it was 30 years ago while doing essentially the same things. And this is just wasteful. It's got to be reined in. The second reason I'm running for the Senate is because corruption has just gotten wildly out of hand in Washington. When the guy who has oversight over the tax committee has been caught not paying his taxes and hiding income for 10 years, and the rest of the Congress, including our Democrat opponent who wants to get a promotion from the House to the Senate, was unable to do anything about it for 2 years. That's just unconscionable. And I could give you dozens of examples, and so could you. The third reason that I'm running for the Senate is because I believe that I'm somebody who can do something about these first 2 problems. I think I can help get spending under control, get this government downsized to something reasonable. And also, there are things that I stand for and things that I won't stand for. And there's no way that I'm going to stand for congressmen siphoning off money to build private airfields or not paying their taxes and then thinking they should be writing the laws for the rest of us. So now, let me tell you a little bit about why I think I'm qualified to make a difference. First of all, I'm a turnaround specialist. As I've been telling some of you before we went on, for the last 25 years, I've gone in and taken broken companies and restructured them, fixed them, and in the process have hired a lot more people. In every one of the 3 major companies that I ran over the last 20 years, we increased payroll by several hundred people at each company. So I know something about creating jobs, unlike some of our lifetime congressmen, some of whom have never actually had a real job outside of Washington. Doesn't that kind of strike you as funny, that people who've never had a real job think they're so good at creating jobs for the rest of us? So my background has been fixing dysfunctional organizations, and our government in Washington certainly qualifies as that. Secondly, as I started to say, I know how to create jobs. And it's not rocket science. It's getting the government off everybody's back and structuring tax and regulation incentives so that people will hire again. And right now, businesses are afraid to hire. I think I know how to fix this, and hopefully as the evening goes on, I'll get a chance to tell you more about that. Third, I have a very broad background in economics, finance, accounting, and I have some sense of history of what's worked in the past and what hasn't worked in the past. And part of our problem in Washington, with all due respect to my 2 friends here, is 2/3 of the Congress is lawyers. And if the Congress were dominated by any profession, that wouldn't be a good thing. But I think we need people who have a little bit more real-world sensibility of how the world really works, how and why people are hired, and try and get the government to be accommodative rather than destructive to job creation. And finally, I'm not just a businessman who woke up one day and said, you know, I'm good at running businesses, I think I should be in the government. I've had a lot of experience on Capitol Hill. When I was in graduate school, I was actually a writer and an editor for a newspaper that tracked energy legislation. So I was in the Capitol building 3 or 4 days a week, and when I wasn't there, I was up in the Department of Energy, which incidentally at the time was 1 year old. James Schlesinger was the first Secretary of Energy, and the entire department fit into 1 building. Today, there are 110,000 employees, and it has a $24 billion budget. Now, it was too big in 1978 when I was working there. There were a lot of well-intentioned people who were doing jobs that just didn't need to be done, and it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. I also ran an organization called the Y Group, which was, I was the scheduler for a group that was the CEOs of the largest 100 companies in America. One of my bosses happened to be one of those CEOs. And I would schedule the speakers. So I'd go get Vice President Mondale, Fed Chairman Paul Volcker, Richard Lugar, Orrin Hatch, some of the senators who are key people on the committees, and I would schedule quarterly meetings and 3 speakers each quarter. And finally, I've had a top secret clearance because of some of the businesses that I've run. I've had a lot of defense-related businesses, and so I've spent a lot of time on Capitol Hill as a result of that. And for these reasons, I think that I'm well suited, both by education and also by experience, to make a difference in corruption and spending on Capitol Hill. Thank you.
Thank you, John.